All right, hello, my fellow gun lovers. This is the Gun Junkie here. In today's video, I'm just going to be answering a few questions that a lot of people have been asking me. So it's just easier for me to answer it in a video than to respond to everybody. So yeah, I'm just going to start with it. The question has been, are you actually from California? And if so, how did you get into guns? So I'm just going to answer that question briefly, hopefully. But yeah, I grew up in California my whole life. I am currently 32 years old, and I've lived 29 of those years in California. So again, born and raised. Was I a liberal? Yes, I was a big liberal up till 2018. And yeah, I did hate guns for a good chunk of time. Why? Because in California, they embroidered that in your head that guns are bad and you don't need guns. Why? Because gang members use them, they kill people, and guns kill people. So that was the thought there. I mean, they really heavily pushed that, and they always had pretty strong gun restrictions in California. And we were made to believe that guns were always bad. Not the person, as they still push that narrative, not the person, the guns. So for a good while, up till my first or second year in college, I really hated guns. And the reason for that is because I believed all the propaganda. I had no knowledge. And again, it was heavily pushed in California. So what got me into guns? I mean, I met a few of my good friends that I really enjoyed hanging out with. One of them was Daniel, one of them was Tommy. I met them in my church group, and they loved guns. So for me, I was like always debating them that guns are dumb, there's no point in having guns, and blah, 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 right? But one day he's like, all right, let's just go shooting. His family owned about 100 acres in Black Star Canyon, which a lot of people, if they know, they don't like Black Star Canyon. But my friend owned about 100 acres in Black Star Canyon. So we went there. We used to go shooting there all the time. And the first time I went, I didn't want to go. I was like, no, this is stupid. I mean, guns aren't really, no, I'm scared of guns in a way and stuff like that. But he's like, just come on and try it. We'll start you off with the 22 and, you can move on from there. So after going, we spent about 6 hours. I mean, he bought all the ammo. And yeah, I started out with the 22. I was really good at it. I started liking it, getting confident. I started shooting handguns, rifles. I shot an AR. And for me, I kind of had that little thrill. And I was really good at shooting. So okay, I was like, okay, I kind of like this, but I still hated it. It took a while for me to kind of break down. And yeah, it was like that for a while. I went shooting every few couple of weeks. We went shooting, but I still hated guns. So I was like, again, there's no point for this. Guns are still bad. So eventually we hung out with a lot of people that did like guns, right? And we had a discussion. For me, again, I was a very closed-minded liberal person that was very, again, closed-minded, but was open for debate. At that time, I wasn't insane like the people are insane right now. I was always an open person, willing to debate. And I think that's the thing that we lack now is debate. And again, starting from that, again, I hated guns, but these people convinced me, or they didn't convince me. We had debates about it. And one of the things they told me is like, if you actually do your research, if you pay attention, a lot of the guns that are actually used in gang violence and all this other stuff are actually ghost guns. And I'm like, well, what the heck is a ghost gun? It's like these guns aren't bought from stores. These aren't obtained legally. They're obtained illegally, and they're brought from the southern border, especially from the cartels. They own that. You can go and buy them in the street for $200, $300. And again, it's not going to go through the government. It's a ghost gun. It has no serial number. They can't track it and stuff like that. So, how are you saying that us buying guns the legal way is bad when these people are obtaining it illegally? And no matter what you do, no matter what strict gun laws we have in California, it's not going to stop these people from buying guns and killing people. So the only one that, is being left defenseless is you. So I was like, well, that kind of makes sense. But if you just leave the gangs alone, nothing's going to happen. But, if you actually realize it, when there's gang violence, there's a lot of innocent people that get hurt. So, those people cannot defend themselves. So they kind of brought a good point there. But we always had these discussions that were back and forth. But there was one discussion that really got to me. And that's when I realized that, hey, you have a point. you won me over. And it was in 2016 or 2016, somewhere around there, no, it was 2015, sorry, where I had discussion with one of my friends, or one of the guys there, and he was like, okay, let me put this scenario. Let's say you're in a bank. There's 100 people in the bank, right? So there's this one bad person with a gun that goes in there and says, hey, everybody, put your hands up. Give me all your money. He's dangerous. He has a gun. Nobody else does. And he steals the bank money. And, he might kill a person on the way or hold hostages and stuff like that, right? I was like, okay, yeah, sure. And then he's like, okay, now let's put this scenario again. There's this person with the gun that walks in the bank. There's 100 people in the bank. Now, when the person says, everybody, go down and give me your money, now everybody in the bank has a gun. Everybody pulls out the gun and points it to the bad person. Now, because everybody now that has a gun, that bad person is going to be like, okay, I surrender. Because everybody has a gun. So now, because everybody else can defend themselves, now this person is not going to create the bad act. And that scenario, I know, is true, and it just threw me off guard, right? And I was like, that really doesn't make sense. So, I understand that, a lot of school shootings happen, and it's pretty bad, and heck, no one likes that. But I do agree that, gun reform isn't going to help in any way. If teachers and everybody had a gun, when a gunman comes in, if they have a gun, they can defend themselves. And it's kind of like that. That's where the situation is kind of making me, that made me realize where, yeah, if everybody has a gun, then those bad people that have guns that are trying to hurt people won't get away with it that easily. If they know that everybody has a gun, then, nothing bad should happen in that sense, right? So, yeah, living in California, California wasn't as bad, but after Gavin Newsom came in, that place collapsed. So Gavin Newsom has destroyed California again. I like California, but it became a complete shib show, right? And he destroyed California. But, the crazier people got, the more liberal they got. I was like, why am I a part of this? Like, why am I being this kind of person? Like, why am I not educating myself on these things? So, California started getting really bad, right? There were situations where, people came into my home or outside my home. They stole my bikes. They stole stuff like that. You call the police, they don't do anything. We knew the person that was stealing our stuff. It was a homeless lady that kept coming and stealing our stuff. They're like, well, did she steal anything over $1,000? We're like, no, the bikes were like, maybe total of $500-600. They're like, well, we can't do anything about it. If it's not over $1,000, then you can't really report it. I'm like, really? Like, what the fudge? I'm like, well, if she comes in, can I shoot her? And they're like, well, yeah, you can shoot her, but you can get arrested and then you can go to jail. I'm like, so we can't even defend ourselves. Well, no, if, like blah, blah, blah. They were saying like people that if they try to defend themselves and stuff like that, then you can be the one punished. The criminal gets awarded and they can do whatever they want, but the person defending themselves is restricted on everything. If you shoot someone in your home, they can sue you, or their family can sue you because for some dumb reason, like their laws got so insane where I was like, I need to get the heck out of there. So I finally did leave. I came to a state like Missouri because I'm like, okay, they don't really have that many gun restrictions. They support the Second Amendment. And yeah, there is violence in California and Missouri, especially in St. Louis. But St. Louis, I've noticed that it's very liberal. I did a lot of my research and I was like, the worst cities or the worst places in the world where there's a lot of gun violence is in Los Angeles, super liberal. Chicago, super liberal. New York, super liberal. Baltimore, super liberal. Atlantic City, super liberal. I'm like, all these super liberal cities are really bad. Houston, Texas now is becoming one of those super gun violent cities. And why? It's super liberal. Why? Because they're putting all these gun restrictions and people can't defend themselves. So me living in Missouri for the past about 3 years, I've seen that there is violence in St. Louis City, but not in the counties. Why? Because in St. Louis City, they are their own municipality, or I don't know what the heck they call it. They're their own thing, and they do have strong, gun laws there. And it's super liberal there, and all the crime is there. But in the counties, people can carry their guns legally. No, how do you call it? There's no permit required, none of that stuff. I mean, I openly carry my guns. I conceal carry my guns, of course, like this Glock 42 or Glock 43. My bad. There's a Glock 43 chambered in 9mm defense ammo. I mean, I carry this all day, every day, and I do carry my Glock 19 when I'm out and about. But I'm always carrying 2 guns, sometimes 3, with the pocket pistol. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty safe in the counties of St. Louis. The city, not so good. The Illinois part, where they're stricter, not so good. They're very dangerous, but the counties are pretty good. Why? Because people carry guns, and they know if you try to do something, everybody has a gun. So that's the thing. It's like, in the area, especially where I live in, there's pretty much non-existing crime. Of course, there's some petty crimes here and there, but there's no gun violence there because they know that everybody around you has a gun. They know that pretty much every household has a gun, and everybody I know here has a gun. So, owning a gun has been very beneficial. It's made me feel very safe. It's made me feel like, that I'm the one who can protect myself and my family because no one else can. Honestly, if you're in a bad situation, you call police. By the time the police gets there, you can be dead. I've used my gun so many times in so many different situations where, I had to pull it out to kind of de-escalate a thing, a person with a knife, or, even when I've gone hiking where, there's been wildlife where I've been attacked by wildlife and I had to use my gun to stop the threat. So a gun has actually helped me in so many ways. And I feel like I would have been pretty much gone from this world if I didn't have a gun. And if in 2015, I wouldn't have owned a gun, in all these situations I've been in, they would have been death situations. And honestly, I don't know what it's been, but I've been in really bad situations so many times, and a gun has actually helped me. And I actually thank my friends from my church that, kind of pushed me to like guns and take that leap on guns, because the only one who can defend yourself is yourself, and the only one who can defend your family is yourself, because, nobody else will. There's a very limited time on those situations. And again, these tools can be used well, and they can really save a life if they are used well. And again, going from this insane liberal to, I'm not saying I'm fully conservative, but I'm pretty conservative, and I do have my liberal views. But owning a gun is something that I really back up. Before being a gun hater to being probably one of the best gun lovers out there and a gun advocate, because I see what these things can do in an actual, responsible way. If you use them responsibly, you can actually use these for good. And, the only way you can de-escalate another person with a gun is a good person with a gun, And yeah, I mean, realizing all this has actually helped out. And yeah, I mean, I'm sorry I went long with this. I mean, but hopefully this answers the questions that people have been asking, going from a gun hater, super liberal, to, a gun lover, a big advocate of it, and, owning about, what do I own? About 10, 11 guns now. Again, I love all my guns. I've gone through probably more guns than that. I've probably gone through about maybe 30, 40 guns, but I've actually sold some, and I've only kept the ones that I actually like. But yeah, I mean, I'll be taking out more videos about the guns that I do like and doing more reviews on it. But this is just the question that I actually wanted to answer, that I wanted to give to people, and kind of give my story about how, my responsibility came into guns and how I actually ended up liking guns. So hopefully this answered some of the questions, but thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.